Hello, fellow mood readers. Welcome to September. This is really when all the fall stuff starts coming out, and I figured now would be a good time to talk about some of the spooky, supernatural, witchy books. And I wanted to start with some underrated ones. So these all have less than 20,000 reviews or ratings on Goodreads. I pulled together a bunch of the shorter ones. I have more on my list that I want to make another video about. I have about 5 books that I rated 4 stars and 5 that I rated 5 stars. So first I want to start out with one that I don't physically have. I listened to the audiobook for this. It's called Near the Bone by Christina Henry. I'll have the cover up here for you. And this one is more of a monster kind of book, a creature feature, but it also kind of features the monster that humans can be. So I'm not going to say too much, but I'll read a little synopsis here for you. It says, a woman trapped on a mountain attempts to survive more than one kind of monster in a dread-inducing horror novel. Maddie can't remember a time before she and William lived alone on a mountain together. She must never make him upset. But when Maddie discovers the mutilated body of a fox in the woods, she realizes that they're not alone after all. So this one, I did recently re-listen to it, and I still stand by my 4-star rating. I thought that it was well written. I can definitely see the choices that Maddie makes a little bit better this time than the first time around. But overall, I gave this one 4 stars, and it only has 16,497 with an average of 3.72, so it's right around 4 stars. But I think you should definitely check it out if you want snowy mountains, or even you could save this if you want some spooky books in December or November. I think this one is worth checking out. I haven't read any of the other books by this author, but if you have, let me know, and if you like them, let me know which ones, because this is the first time I've read this author with this book, but I definitely think it's worth checking out. So my next one is actually kind of cutting it close to the 20,000. I'm kind of surprised it was that low in the first place. And that's going to be The Elementals by Michael McDowell. This one is also a pretty good summer read, so if you don't feel like getting to this one right now, you can hold it off for the summer. Because they're on a beach, so and it gets very hot, in this book, so it is kind of perfect for even a summer read if you want a spooky summer read. But it's very short, and I gave this one also 4 stars, so I'm starting out with all the 4 stars. But I've seen this one talked about only a little bit and mentioned a few times, so I'll give you a brief synopsis here. After a bizarre and disturbing incident at the funeral of matriarch Marion Savage, the McCrae and Savage families look forward to a restful and relaxing summer at Beldam, on Alabama's Gulf Coast, where 3 Victorian houses rise above the shimmering beach. 2 of the houses are habitable, while the 3rd is slowly and mysteriously being buried beneath an enormous dune of blindingly white sand. So this one I thought was pretty great. It's from 1981, so you could feel a little bit of the age in the language, but even Stephen King blurbed it, the finest writer of paperback originals in America. I definitely love this cover a lot. So I gave this one 4 stars, and if it sounds like it might be up your alley, give this one a shot. So on to my next 4 star. You're going to see 2 of this author's books on this list, and they're both novellas, but I thought they were both fantastic. This one is really interesting. It's just kind of got a really nice spooky vibe. It's a bit of a ghost, a bit of a house is bigger than it should be kind of feel. So we have Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. I love this author. I've read Mapping the Interior. I've read a couple of other ones. Everything I've read, I've really liked. 4 stars and above so far. So here we have this novella. Walking through his own house at night, a 15-year-old thinks he sees a person in full Blackfeet regalia step through a doorway. Instead of the people who could be there, his mother or his brother, the figure reminds him of his long-gone father who died mysteriously before his family left the reservation. When he follows it, he discovers his house is bigger and deeper than he knew. So definitely give this one a shot. Like I said, novella. A lot of the novellas seem to be underrated, and I think sometimes the quicker a horror story is, the less time you sit with it, the more creepy it can be. So I think this one is definitely worth a pickup if you happen to see it. Check it out. Okay, next up we have another novella. My movie watchers that enjoy film adaptations or enjoy movies more, this one might be a pickup for you if you think about it. This one is You Should Have Left by Daniel Kellman, and it's translated from German by Ross Benjamin. This one here was just recently made into a film in 2020, starring Kevin Bacon. I haven't seen the movie, but if you have, let me know how it is. But I give this one 4 stars. It's kind of got, from what I remember, I don't think the characters are very likable, but here we have a screenwriter. His wife and their 4-year-old daughter rent a house in the mountains of Germany, but something isn't right. As he toils on a sequel to his most successful movie, the screenwriter notices that the rooms aren't where he remembers them, and finds in his notebook words that are not his own. So this is one of the ones that's kind of like mapping the interior a little bit, in that the house's dimensions are not what they should be. So I thought this one was pretty good. Nice short length. Like I said, the characters weren't really that likable, but you know, sometimes real life is that way. But I definitely think if that sounds up your alley, worth a shot, give it a go. Let me know how the movie is. I was kind of interested in watching it, and then I think I heard mixed reviews, but overall, I'm interested. I picked this one up after that came out, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's that movie. Definitely check this out. I think it's worth it. So I just realized I didn't update you on these 2 stats. So Mapping the Interior had 7,380 with a 3.79 overall rating. So we're still right in the 4-star ballpark. And then this one, You Should Have Left, only had 11,047, and it was a 3.44. All right. I actually had 4 stars. So now I'm going to get into my 5 stars. For some reason, I thought of a different book, and then when I looked it up, it had more than 20,000. So I'm going to replace it with another one on the shorter. It's the longest book on here, but I gave it 5 stars. And there's definitely not a lot of people talking about it. So that's going to be Obscura by Joe Hart. Now, Obscura has 5,019 as of when I wrote this list down, but it's got a 4.06 average, and I really enjoyed this one. I think it's more of a thriller, psychological thriller, I think, than horror, but there are horror elements, and it's in space, so we know I love space. So I'll read you a brief synopsis just like the other ones, but this was one that I wouldn't shut up about when I first read it, and I made a bunch of Instagram posts that included it, but I definitely think that this one is worth checking out. So here we have, in the near future, an aggressive and terrifying new form of dementia is affecting victims of all ages. The cause is unknown and the symptoms are disturbing. Dr. Jillian Ryan is on the cutting edge of research and desperately determined to find a cure. She's already lost her husband to the disease, and now her young daughter is slowly succumbing as well. After losing her funding, she is given the unique opportunity to expand her research. She will travel with a NASA team to a space station where the crew has been stricken with symptoms of a similar inexplicable psychosis, memory loss, trances, and violent, uncontrollable impulses. So I definitely think that this one is worth checking out. So pick it up. Only 5,000. It feels like not nearly enough, but it's in the 300s, so I don't think that's too long. But it's still going to be the longest one on this list, so please forgive that. as a shout out to the book that I had originally thought, for some reason it wasn't on this list, and then I still thought that I just forgot to write it down, but it was The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell, but it actually ended up with 35,000 something, and I was like, oh no, that's too many. So, because I was trying to keep it low, under 20,000, but I would definitely still check that one out. I gave it 4 stars. It's a very good, like, gothic, Victorian ghost story. So check it out if you wanted to see what that one was about. But so far we've got 5 books, and I'll get into the other 5 now. So here we have our next Stephen Graham Jones, one of his other novellas, and that's Night of the Mannequins. I thought this one was a lot of fun, kind of crazy, but I really liked that about it and how different it was. It's kind of thrillery, kind of horror-y, but I can't recommend them enough. Check out anything by this author, please. So I'm going to give you the brief synopsis of this one here. One last laugh for the summer as it winds down. One last prank just to scare a friend. Bringing a mannequin into a theater is just some harmless fun, right? Until it wakes up. Until it starts killing. Luckily, Sawyer has a plan. He'll be a hero. He'll save everyone to the best of his ability. He'll kill as many people as he needs to so he can save the day. That's the thing about heroes. Sometimes you have to become a monster first. So it's just crazy, and I loved it. Check it out. Night of the Mannequins only had 18,000, so it was just scraping under, but it had 3.33 as the average. I don't know. I thought it was a wild ride, and I gave it 5 stars. So if you read this one, let me know where you land, if you didn't like it or if you did. Let me know if you have checked out Stephen Graham Jones, because I honestly think he's very underrated. This and Mapping the Interior are definitely underrated. I enjoyed both of these, and they're super short. So if you really wanted like a couple of extra reads before spooky season ends, or if you're looking for anything like in between, or if you're waiting for a book to come in, one of your pre-orders, you know, they're good to pick up right in between. Okay, so next up, we have one that I really enjoyed. I think my first read from this is one that was adapted into a movie, and that will be very familiar because it was on Netflix, and that was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. So my pick for this one is going to be A House at the Bottom of a Lake. Josh Malerman really did something with this one. It's nice and short, beautiful cover. When I saw the cover, I knew I wanted to read it regardless. It's gorgeous. And look at the back, and like, so it spans this. But this one was out of print for a bit. It might be back in print now. When I read the synopsis, it sounded right up my alley. It's got just a little bit of eerie, creepy kind of feels to it. But this one is 17,195, so it's kind of skirting down underneath 20. And it's got a 3.19, which I feel is pretty low. I really enjoyed it. Let me know if you read this and where you fall on it. But I'm going to read you a brief synopsis if you haven't heard of it and you want to know what it's about. Both 17, both afraid, both saying yes. It sounded like the perfect first date, canoeing across a chain of lakes, sandwiches and beer in the cooler. But teenagers Amelia and James discover something below the water surface that changes their lives forever. It's got 2 stories, it's got a garden, and the front door is open. It's a house at the bottom of a lake. For the teens, there is only one rule, no questions, and yet, how could a place so spectacular come with no price tag? While the duo plays house beneath the waves, one reality remains. Just because a house is empty doesn't mean nobody is home. So, I don't know, I just loved the eerie feels. I loved kind of the premise because it felt different from anything that I've heard of before. And I think it's underrated. I don't know. I could be in the minority, but I really enjoyed it. And if you've read Bird Box or watched Bird Box, and you're interested in giving Josh Malerman a shot, You could start with a small one like this, start with Bird Box, but I read both of them and I really enjoyed this one. It's just beautiful and it's just one of those nice little quick reads. So I highly recommend this one. Only 3 left now. So we have another novella, and that is Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. So this one, 17,495 and an average of 3.65. This one was super creepy, kind of crazy. Just the best kind of horror sometimes is kind of crazy. And if you like creepy kids, pick this one up. So at first glance, Phil Pendleton and his son Adam are just an ordinary father and son, no different from any other. They take walks in the park, visit county fairs, museums, and zoos, and eat together overlooking the lake. Some might say the father is a little too accommodating given the lack of discipline when the child loses his temper in public. Some might say he spoils his son by allowing him to set his own bedtime and eat candy whenever he wants. Some might say that such leniency is starting to take its toll on the father, given how his health has declined. What no one knows is that Phil is a prisoner, and that up until a few weeks ago, in a chance encounter at a grocery store, he had never seen the child before in his life. So, like I said, kind of nuts, kind of crazy, really short. Give these a try. If I remember right, that ending was bonkers. So I highly recommend this, and I recommend the author, because this one's 5 stars, and then the next one that I have is also 5 stars, and it's also by him. And if you have picked this one up, let me know what you thought. I'm really interested. So next, going right into it, Keelan Patrick Burke again. We got Dead of Winter. These ones are spooky stories in the winter. There's 7 little stories inside this, but they're all 7 little stories inside this book, all worth it. Definitely worth getting your hands on this one. I gave the whole book overall, I gave this one a 5 star, which doesn't always happen with short stories because it's really kind of hard to rate those when you have a bunch in there, because some might not hit and then you take a little bit off because you didn't like one story as much as all the others. But this one, I kind of flew through this, I think, if I remember right. But even if I didn't and I took my time, it was definitely worth it. So pick this up more towards the winter. It's called Dead of Winter. And what do we have here? We have only 955 ratings, and it's got a 3.95. So settling right in around 4 stars. I would pick this up in a heartbeat, please. There's not too much that I could say, but here, I'll just read the blurb on the back for you so you could get that. It says, "Winter isn't coming, it's already here, and with it comes a horror no door can keep out. It's there in the yard, in the faces of the snowmen a young boy doesn't remember building. It's in the oddly empty streets below Santa Claus's crumbling sleigh. It's in the unnatural movement of the snow that suffocates a widower's town, and in the cold eyes of a lonely man's estranged children. Here there is no holiday cheer, only spine-chilling fear in the dead of winter." Definitely pick this one up. And for winter spooky, also, if you didn't watch my cozy coffee mug challenge, you could check out also Hark the Herald Angels Scream. That was fun. And a bunch of short stories set around Christmas or winter time. And Near the Bone also would be a good winter read if you like to read the season while it's there. So I definitely gave a few for you to pick up for that. So we've made it all the way to number 10. If you've stuck with me, thank you so much. Leave a spooky emoji in the bottom if you just to let me know you stuck around. And let me know how you like the list so far and what you might pick up from it. I don't like to give too much away, and some of these, it has been a tiny bit since I've read them. Near the Bone is probably the most recent that I have read from all of these, just because I re-listened to it not that long ago. But just thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy videos like this, because I do have, like I said, one more planned, and it's going to be some of the longer ones. I wanted to kind of pick out some of the shorter horror, spooky thriller kind of books for you, and just to give all of these authors and these books kind of a chance, because you never know which ones you might like. You might not like some of them from this list, or you might like all of them. But let me know if you happen to pick any of these up, or if they sound good to you. I'd like to hear some of your feedback, and let me know. If there's any that you think are underrated, I'd like to know. And I would like to do this with some of the other genres as well, because I did read a few, and I got a surprise comment once on my library tour about one of the books that was on the shelf that I read, and it was Abomination by Gary Whitta, which I will definitely want to talk about in another underrated video. I wanted to start out with some spooky books since we're right in that season, the beginning of September. That's when I start wanting to read some of these, and that's when I think that way you could pick some up before it gets to October if you want to read them strictly in October. Let me know if you like videos like this, because I definitely want to make more. There's so many books that don't get talked about a whole lot, and I want to talk about all of them with you. Let me know. And for now, we're going to move on to our last book, and this is also criminally underrated. It only has 553 ratings, and it's got a 3.84. I gave this 5 stars, and I know it's a tough read, and definitely check trigger warnings. I mean, this is about grief, so if you're not ready to read a grief horror book, then I definitely wouldn't touch this. But that is Remains by Andrew Cull. This author also has a bunch of other books. I was reading Cockroach King, which is another novella. I haven't finished it yet because I can only take so many cockroaches, but I do intend to get back to that. I downloaded it on the Kindle. It kind of had a crazy cover. Hold on. So this is Cockroach King. Look at that cover. That's what made me want to read it, but also because Remains was amazing. This is a ghost story like nothing else. But it's very hard to read because it's grief. So I'm going to give you the synopsis, and I'll let you decide if you would like to read it. How far would you go? What horrors would you endure if it meant you might see the son you thought you'd lost forever? Driven to a breakdown by the brutal murder of her young son, Lucy Campbell had locked herself away, fallen deep inside herself, become a ghost haunting room 23B of the William Tuke Psychiatric Hospital. There she'd remained until the whispering pulled her back, until she found herself once more sitting in her car, calling to the son that she had lost, staring into the black panes of the now abandoned house where Alex had died. Tonight, someone is watching her back. This cover just kind of says it all there, and it is tough to read this, but it was so good, and it was very much horror. It was one of the creepiest books that I think I've read in a long time. So I highly recommend this, but definitely take care of yourself. Be careful with trigger warnings. So check any of those out. But like I said, I gave this 5 stars, and the author is truly a nice guy. You could check out his Instagram and see what else he's written. Like I said, got Cockroach King here, and he's got a few others, I think, that are on my list. And he also I also won a giveaway a little while ago for Morbidologies, and he has got a short story in there. So check all these out. I think we have a pretty good list here of some 4 to 5 star reads, and some of them you can't see some of them they don't have them printed on the side just because they're so small, but we got a good stack, and I definitely highly recommend any of these. But like I said, if they happen to not be for you, no worries. Or if you've read some of these and you like the recommendations, please let me know. So like I said before, if you've made it this far, drop me a spooky emoji. I like to say hi. And thank you all so much for watching my other videos and subscribing. This has been so much fun so far, and I can't wait to make more videos for you. I'm going to be getting into, I'm really feeling those witchy vibes and kind of getting into some more of those. So I think I might try a reading vlog, if you might be interested in that. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But I was thinking, if I'm still feeling it, by the time I finish Malice, I wanted to read Practical Magic, and I want to see the movie again. It's been a very long time since, but I picked this up not that long ago. The cover's beautiful, and we got some deckled edges there. But I'm definitely interested. I've always been interested kind of in reading this, but I just never picked it up until now. So this is where I think I might go next, as long as I'm still feeling it by the time I finish Malice. Or maybe I'll start it before I even finish Malice. We never know what I'll do. So if you're interested, join me for that adventure. And thank you so much for watching, and go support some of these underrated authors and some of those underrated books. And I hope you have a fantastic start to September, and I'm so excited for spooky season. I'm feeling it. I'm seeing the Halloween, the autumnal stuff in the stores. So we're getting there. I'm so excited, and I can't wait. And I'll see you in the next one.